How fast can you resolve a ticket? No matter the size of your organization, the time it takes to solve the myriad of tickets coming in can be a problem. And with the volume and variety of issues coming at you and your team, how do you keep up? While many aspects of businesses are moving at high speed, inundated IT help desks are struggling to keep pace as they analyze and prioritize ticket responses, leaving some to wait until much later. When a problem arises in an organization, from software updates to risk mitigation, the IT team has a short time to react until it potentially grows to be a significant issue. But IT groups who adopt a speed to resolution threshold are changing that dynamic. This is a response goal we are all working towards in this day and age of larger managed networks and increasingly sophisticated infrastructures and threats. When a problem arises in an organization, from software updates to risk mitigation, the IT team has a short time to react until it potentially grows to be a significant issue. But IT groups who adopt a speed to resolution threshold are changing that dynamic. This is a response goal we are all working towards in this day and age of larger managed networks and increasingly sophisticated infrastructures and threats. Organizations that can achieve a high speed to resolution are much more likely to mitigate and resolve severe endpoint hardening issues before they become a bigger problem. Unfortunately, it can be a difficult goal to obtain with manpower alone. So what is slowing down your speed to resolution? As the number and types of managed devices grow, so do the challenges. The modern workspace requires a new approach. Long gone are the days of uniform endpoints connecting to a few highly controlled servers. Today's agile organizations leverage a wide range of devices connecting into servers through a number of channels, leveraging various operating systems and a wide range of third-party software. As work became more digital, more connectivity and mobility practices have been adopted to keep businesses on the move at a high speed. But left behind was the IT service team, often relying on legacy-built software that was designed for old workspaces, the controlled environments that kept endpoints inside the building where employees didn't work remote, and devices and software were fairly standard across the board. Trying to adapt legacy endpoint hardening solutions to the workplace on the move has proven cumbersome for many, leading to more tickets piling up, left unresolved, and slowing down the business. Even worse is as workplaces grew beyond the borders of the office walls, endpoint hardening solutions still relied on maintained infrastructure to download and deploy updates and patches, as well as VPNs to provide a tunnel back for remote endpoints to connect and receive those updates. They lack automation and cloud-native connectivity, all while relying on users and customers to participate in their own management. This cumbersome approach has increased the amount of work necessary for what should be a quick and simple resolution. Even worse is as workplaces grew beyond the borders of the office walls, endpoint hardening solutions still relied on maintained infrastructure to download and deploy updates and patches, as well as VPNs to provide a tunnel back for remote endpoints to connect and receive those updates. They lack automation and cloud-native connectivity, all while relying on users and customers to participate in their own management. This cumbersome approach has increased the amount of work necessary for what should be a quick and simple resolution. With the difficulties of the modern network, many legacy products have become part of the problem, complicating work processes and coverage capability due to limited technological scope and capacity. They often require endpoints to be on the same network, in the same place, connected to the same directory. And many of the products focus only on one OS, meaning organizations have multiple endpoint hardening products, each with their own workflow. But that is not how the world works anymore. It's time to challenge this paradigm of extra work for less reward and cut through the problems that are slowing endpoint hardening operations down to a crawl. Just as the workplaces have needed to grow beyond limitations, so does endpoint hardening. The days of waiting for a laptop to come back to the office or connect to a VPN to receive an update need to be part of the past. And it's time for augmentation of tasks through automation to make solutions easier and more reliable to deploy. Let's look at one critical problem area in the endpoint hardening cycle: patching and updates. As thousands of patches and updates are released every year, Organizations have approached this basic level of cyber hygiene as an IT problem, not a security problem. And updates seem to take days, weeks, or months to fully deploy to environments, ultimately leaving users at risk. And yet, adversaries are moving 15 times faster than standard IT operations, who deploy patches on average 102 days after release. The fundamentals of cyber hygiene and endpoint hardening have traditionally not been supported by products that scale with the modern workplace. And the legacy approach to endpoint hardening, including patching and risk mitigation, has not been easy to implement, maintain, or deploy. With managed environments changing faster than IT protocols can keep up, the problem has been confounded by the need to train more users, configure more machines, and keep tabs on all the various third-party software needs. IT teams are often out of the loop of the needed updates, and it isn't until something potentially goes wrong that mitigation plans are put into place. But what if we treated these problems, these basics to endpoint hardening, with a security mindset? This is where the 24/72 speed to resolution concept comes into play. To decrease the gap, to implement a strong speed to resolution threshold, IT teams need to be addressing vulnerabilities within 72 hours. This is the speed needed to keep endpoints up to date, addressing third-party software, OS, and local policy changes, as well as other potential issues that could grow out of hand if left unresolved too long. But the moment the problem is revealed, the IT team needs to be working towards a solution and approaching these situations in a methodical, procedural-based manner. Unless, of course, it's a zero-day vulnerability. Now, according to research, 34% of the analyzed vulnerabilities had an exploit available on the same day that the vulnerability was disclosed, making it a bigger race against the clock. So much so that critical mitigation should be tested and deployed not within 72, but 24 hours of being released. This might seem like common sense, but sadly, due to antiquated tools, the average organization is taking longer than a few days, a few weeks, or even a few months to prevent these threats. So how do we get there? Unless, of course, it's a zero-day vulnerability. According to research, 34% of the analyzed vulnerabilities had an exploit available on the same day the vulnerability was disclosed, making it a bigger race against the clock. So much so that critical mitigation should be tested and deployed not within 72, but 24 hours of being released. Now, this might seem like common sense, but sadly, due to antiquated tools, the average organization is taking longer than a few days, a few weeks, or even a few months to prevent those threats. So how do we get there? Speed and scalability are the critical elements needed to adopt and work towards these metrics of resolution. And the way to get there is through cloud-native technology and supporting automation capabilities. Breaking away from the walls and restrictions gives IT teams the opportunity to scale at speed throughout their growing and complicated infrastructure, all without losing capability and features. In fact, with the cloud, rapid feature extensibility is now possible, giving IT teams the ability to scale beyond the standard roadmap. Through automation, the IT help desk will be able to prioritize and respond to tickets faster, enabling time-consuming tasks like patch management and product updates, even on a global scale, just to be a few clicks away. And with the cloud-native connectivity of modern endpoint hardening products, no matter where the supported devices are in the world, they can receive these automated tasks with ease, no matter their operating system and without VPN. By rethinking our approach to ticket response time, adopting a security mindset to these basics of cyber hygiene and endpoint hardening, organizations of all sizes can work towards the 24/72 speed to resolution threshold. It's time to break away from legacy and apply a next generation response time to problem resolution. No more deployment and management servers to maintain. No more VPN connectivity required to maintain an endpoint. No more legacy workflows slowing down your teams. From critical vulnerabilities that need a patch to updates of third-party software, the 24/72 speed to resolution is the response metric to work towards. So I ask, how fast can your organization move?